Okay. Hello everyone. Welcome to today's webinar on unlocking innovation with design thinking, creative brainstorming techniques. I am Satna Singh, your host for today, and on behalf of Satna Incubation Center and Satna Smart City Development Limited, I warmly welcome each of you. This session is designed specially for startups in Satna to help you think creatively and solve real problems. So we are excited to have Vignesh Raja sir as our mentor today, and he is an expert in innovation and strategy. And he has helped many startups find success with his practical approach. We are lucky to have him here to guide us today. So, design thinking is not just a process, it's a way of thinking. एंड स्टार्टअप्स के लिए डिज़ाइन थिंकिंग काफ़ी इम्पॉर्टेंट है. इट हेल्प सॉल्व रियल प्रॉब्लम्स. एंड आज के सेशन में सर कुछ इफेक्टिव ब्रेन टेक्निक्स के बारे में बताएंगे जो स्टार्टअप्स में इनोवेटिव आइडिया जनरेट करने या जल्दी टेस्ट करने और आपके यूजर्स के लिए वैल्यूएबल सॉल्यूशन क्रिएट करने में मदद करेंगे. तो मैं रिक्वेस्ट करूंगी आप सबसे एक्टिवली पार्टिसिपेट करें इस सेशन पे. एंड इफ यू हैव एनी क्वेश्चन और थॉट्स ड्यूरिंग द प्रेजेंटेशन, प्लीज फील फ्री टू टाइप देम इन द चैट बॉक्स. And let's make this session as interactive and beneficial as possible. So I am delighted to hand it over to our esteemed mentor, Mr. Vignesh Raja sir. So over to you, sir.
थैंक्स संजना जी फॉर द वार्म वेलकम. और ये सतना इंक्यूबेशन सेंटर में अभी मेरे तरफ से बात करना और ये ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग और क्रिएटिव थिंकिंग और डिज़ाइन थिंकिंग के बारे में इंफॉर्मेशन थोड़ा कुछ शेयर करना बहुत ही आई एम वेरी वेरी हैप्पी टू शेयर. और ये जो बात है वो डिज़ाइन थिंकिंग और ये ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग मेथड बहुत ही बेहतरीन चीज़ है. अगर आप कोई स्टार्टअप हो, नहीं तो आप कुछ स्टार्टअप से आगे भी बढ़ने वाले जो कुछ बिजनेस ओनर्स हो, आप सभी को भी ये ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग बहुत ही बेहतरीन चीज़ है. मेरे तरफ में आज ये ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग के बारे में ये क्यों इम्पोर्टेंट, व्हाई इज इट इम्पोर्टेंट फॉर अ स्टार्टअप, ये तो पहले तरफ में आपको एम्फसाइज करना चाहता हूँ. और उसके पहले मैं आज का सेशन हम कैसे स्ट्रक्चर करेंगे उसके बारे में भी थोड़ा कुछ एजेंडा जिसे मैं आपको दिखाना चाहता हूँ. पहले तो हम थोड़ा इंट्रोडक्शन कर लेंगे और फिर इम्पोर्टेंस ऑफ ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग के बारे में थोड़ा कुछ तरीके बोल देते हैं और फिर जो कुछ टेक्निक्स मार्केट में है उसी के बारे में हम ज़्यादा बातचीत करेंगे. और आपके तरफ से जो कुछ क्वेश्चंस हैं हम आगे बाद में हम क्वेश्चंस ले लेते हैं. और इन्हीं सेशन पे क्रेजी एड्स, स्कैम्पर और माइंड मैपिंग, ये तीनों स्पेसिफिक टूल्स के बारे में थोड़ा कुछ हम बात करते हैं. और अगर आप किसी को कुछ क्वेश्चंस जब भी है वो यूट्यूब पे अभी मैसेज पे आप डालते रहो. और ताकि संजना जी आप हम सभी को ये क्वेश्चंस जो कुछ भी रहेगा क्वेश्चंस बताएंगे और फिर मेरे तरफ से जब भी क्वेश्चंस I mean, let's not wait until the end. अगर किसी को कुछ स्पेसिफिक टॉपिक के बारे में थोड़ा कुछ इनपुट्स चाहिए तो मैं I will quickly stop and I will address that on live as well. I think that's okay. I hope all of you are very well set and let's get going with it. और मेरे तरफ में दोनों हिंदी, थोड़ा हिंदी और ज़्यादा इंग्लिश, और I will try to keep mixing and matching on. But at any point, if you have any question, please stop so that I'm happy to address it. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so पहली तरफ में brainstorming की चीज क्या है? Let's ask or understand the question. Brainstorming क्या है? So I think brainstorming from a definition standpoint जो कुछ है ये collaborative technique है ताकि आपको ideas को ज़्यादा बढ़ाने के लिए आप कर सकते हैं. और कब आपको ideas ये सब चाहिए आपको? जब भी आपको एक problem, कुछ दिक्कत है और नहीं कुछ सॉल्यूशंस आपको ज़्यादा चाहिए, उस समय आपको ये ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग चीज आप यूज कर सकते हैं. यू कैन पॉसिबली यूज इट टू सॉल्व अ प्रॉब्लम और यू वांट मोर आइडियाज. सो ऐसे में थोड़ा कुछ आपको एग्जांपल्स देना चाहता हूँ. मेनी ऑफ यू, आई अंडरस्टैंड सम ऑफ यू आर ऑलरेडी रनिंग योर बिजनेस. यू मे हैव रिसीव्ड सम कंप्लेंट्स फ्रॉम कस्टमर्स. सो ऐसे आप मान लो आपके पास अभी एक बिजनेस चल रहा है, आपको ये कस्टमर से कुछ कंप्लेंट्स आ रहे हैं. एग्जाम्पल्स ऐसे दो चार एग्जांपल्स हम ऐसे बात करते हैं, डिलीवरी लेट हो रहा है, so how do we address it? So that's one example. Or probably there is the package is damaged. So these are some very very simple examples मैं ऐसे ही बात करना चाहता हूँ. Or if you want some new ideas for startup, so let's say आपके पास अभी कुछ startup नहीं है और खाली आप ideation stage पे हो, what are the ideas which you can think of? So which means brainstorming can be effective if you are already a business owner, or if you are running your business and you need some more inputs, or if you want more inputs to completely start a new business. So you can probably list some ideas in terms of what problems are there in the industry, and you can start to generate all these inputs from the market with collaborative technique. I think the keyword in सभी इन दो लाइन पे जो important point है ये collaborative technique है. So ताकि you will get more ideas, and the most important thing is the biggest takeaway वो brainstorming में जो है, quantity is the important. So which means हमारी तरफ में ज्यादा कुछ ideas चाहिए. So quantity is the most important thing. Don't worry about the quality. So I think that's a very important message I want to leave in this particular point. Or ये क्यों important है? I think that's where we were also discussing. We can अगर आपके पास कुछ ideas, कुछ problems है, वो problems को solve करने के लिए क्या क्या ideas चाहिए, और ये team building activity पे भी ज्यादा कुछ effort आता है, क्योंकि अगर आपके पास 2 4 5 बंदे हैं और फिर आपके पास कुछ वो टीम बिल्डिंग के हर एक के स्ट्रेंथ्स और वीकनेस के बारे में भी थोड़ा कुछ आपको इंफॉर्मेशन चाहिए, so you can understand, because we understand that as a startup we work as a small team, but it's very important that we need to know how people think, what are their strengths, what are their weaknesses. So it helps in team building activities also. So many times don't think that ये brainstorming अगर कुछ problem है उसी समय आप use करना है. Use it as a tool to increase engagement within the startup community, within your team. And most importantly, you can use it for creative thinking also. मतलब अगर आपके पास कुछ problem ही नहीं हो तो भी कोई दिक्कत नहीं. You can actually give some idea or give some problem, a very dummy problem. Okay, like let's say how do we increase marketing, or you can look at anything, give a particular problem statement and ask the people to think, ताकि वो creative thinking भी बढ़ जाए, so that your team will have a better idea and approach on thinking when the actual problems can come. So that's another idea of looking into it. Another important thing is, अगर आप जैसे कुछ टीम के साथ आप ये डिस्कस कर रहे हैं, अगर किसी के पास एक आइडिया कुछ मिल जाए, the other team members can also look on building from the ideas which have been generated from one of the people. So which means it can be a complete team activity where one person can build on an idea which has already been given. And also another thing is, how do we look at perspectives, because हर एक आइडिया और प्रॉब्लम के लिए 4 5 10 solutions हो सकता है. So look at the different perspectives, because if there is a guy or a boy or a man, they may think in a different direction. अगर आपके टीम पे एक women or ladies जो कोई है, they will think in a different direction, which means it will help in increasing more perspectives. एक ही आइडिया, एक ही प्रॉब्लम है, मगर ज्यादा से ज्यादा कुछ सॉल्यूशन हो सकता है, and it's very important to get different dimensions from different set of people. And you can also use it as a very good idea generation activity as well. So let me quickly move on how we go about doing this activity, ताकि आप भी यूज कर सकते हो. Okay, so there are some fundamental ground rules आपके तरफ में देखना पड़ेगा. एक पहला चीज जो है वो time limit. So how long do you want to do it? So normally you can keep it 15-30 minutes, maximum 20-30, because it's more like that alarm clock, right? अगर आप okay, we have to do this session between 1 to 1:15 or 1:15 to 1:30. So it has to be a time bound exercise ताकि effective हो जाए. Because if I say पूरा दिन हम brainstorm करेंगे, so it will not be very effective. Keep it very very time bound, specific, so that it will be very very. So there has been a lot of data which has said that the shorter timeline and a very targeted timeline will help in triggering the thought process. So time limit तो बहुत ही important चीज है. आप ये पहला चीज जो आप जब भी ये ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग एक्टिविटी कर रहे हो, आप ये टाइम लिमिट तो डिफाइन करना बहुत ही इंपॉर्टेंट चीज है. दैट्स द फर्स्ट वन. द सेकंड इज वो प्रॉब्लम. व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट एंड व्हाट इज द गोल. सो ये दोनों चीज इंपॉर्टेंट है. इसीलिए आपके पास जो कुछ प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट है वो क्लियरली डिफाइन करना पड़ेगा. सो ये भी आई मीन वी कैन हैव डिफरेंट एग्जांपल्स. एक तो मेरी तरफ से और हमारा कंपनी इस तरफ चल रहा है. अगर इफ यू वांट टू इंक्रीज बिजनेस 10x क्या करें, और इफ आई वांट टू इंक्रीज माय ब्रांड प्रेजेंस क्या करें. अगर हमारे तरफ से डिजिटल मार्केटिंग की तरफ में थोड़ा कुछ एडिशनल स्पेसिफिक चीज करना है क्या करें. और इफ आई वांट टू गेट माय प्रोडक्ट सोल्ड इन 1000, what do I do? I'm just trying to give you ideas as a startup. What is it you will want to do, and how will you want to achieve? So here it's more about setting that trigger point. मतलब ये जो प्रॉब्लम जो कुछ है, ये तो प्रॉब्लम हो सकता है, नहीं तो गोल भी हो सकता है. So the problem. So here, like I said earlier, if let's say there is a customer dissatisfaction, or there is a complaint, a specific set of complaint received from your customers, you can define that, you can give that as a problem. Or probably the problem which I'm facing is there is a lot of damages in my delivery, or I'm having a longer time frame for the shipment from my warehouse to my customer's place. So these are problems. So you can see here that the target can be a problem, or so the goal is I want to reach, let's say I'm doing 10 lakhs business, I want to 10 crore. Or I'm having 100 customers, I want to reach 10,000 customers. So you can see here, you can define. अगर आपकी तरफ से ये प्रॉब्लम या गोल अच्छी तरह से आप डिफाइन जब करते हैं, so the thought process among the people who are participating in the brainstorming activity बहुत ही सक्सेसफुल हो सकता है. So this is the second activity. The third जो है, आप अगर मैं कुछ आइडिया दे रहा हूँ और संजना जी और जो कोई आइडियाज दे रहे हैं, so you should never criticize that individual. Oh, ये क्या चीज है, ये बेकार, stupid. So you should never say anything about criticism, or don't be judgmental. ये हो सकता है, नहीं नहीं नहीं, ये अच्छा नहीं है, शायद अच्छा और भी अच्छा कर सकते हैं. सो यू शुड नेवर, व्हेनेवर यू रिसीव आइडियाज, जब भी आपके टीम से जो आइडियाज आपको मिल रहा है, यू शुड नेवर बी जजमेंटल, or you should never criticize your team members, because it's very important that we want to encourage as much ideas from the community. Very important. And the next is always encourage all ideas. So like he said, do not worry about anything. So you should make the team members comfortable, right? It's very important that they feel, oh, I'm part of the team, I'm also contributing, and I can provide support. Because it's very important to note that the team members are the ones who are contributing to this activity, and they will be working closely with the customers and the environment. So it's very important they also feel motivated to open up and share the ideas openly. And the important thing which I did earlier mention also is aim for quantity. मतलब अगर ideas मिल रहा है, we can actually say हर किसी के पास जो कुछ ideas है, हर किसी से मुझे 10, 15, 20 आइडिया चाहिए. और जब भी हम ये जो आइडिया जनरेशन एक्टिविटी और ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग एक्टिविटी कर रहे हैं, हमें 20 मिनट के पास 20 मिनट के बाद हमें तो 100, 200 आइडियाज चाहिए. सो आई थिंक इट्स ऑलवेज द फोकस शुड बी ऑन द क्वांटिटी. सो दैट्स द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग. जब भी हम ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग एक्टिविटी कर रहे हैं, quantity. So I want more number of ideas than the quality. So I think this is a very, very important message I want to share, because many times people try to shoot down the ideas. No, ये नहीं हो पाएगा. This is useless. ऐसे ऐसे नहीं करना चाहिए. जो भी वो moderator वो brainstorming करता है और facilitate करता है, the focus will always be on aiming or gunning for quantity. So I hope that's very clear. And another important thing is always try to build on ideas. So let's say there is one person who says, अगर हर कोई कुछ ideas बोलता है, okay, can there be someone who can work on top of it? So it's, which is where you can always build on the ideas. You should again focus on encouraging that. Another important thing is stay visual. Matlab, if you keep it visual where you want to share details on an imagery, so which is where many times जब भी आप, I'm sure many of you have participated in brainstorming activities. ये जो पूरा ब्लैक बोर्ड जैसे एक्टिविटी पे कर सकते हैं, नहीं तो कुछ व्हाइट बोर्ड जैसे वो पोस्टेड नोट्स सब थोड़ा कलर्ड पोस्टेड नोट्स पे लिख के करते रहते हैं. So I think that's another activity. Maybe the next slide I will show you that details. Another last important point is allow one conversation at a time. मतलब अगर ये जो activity चल रहा है, ये इस activity पे शायद 5 या 10 टीम मेंबर्स हो, हर एक को बात करने के लिए टाइम दे दे. I think that's a very very important point, because it's very important that they have to be heard, so that other people are attentive and they can also contribute further. So it's very important to ensure. I think that's where the moderator who is running this brainstorming activity will play a critical role of being assertive and letting this conversation up one at a time. So this is a very very important point. Let me quickly move on and show you that example of it. Okay, so this is where मैं ऐसे ही आपको कुछ imagery दिखाना चाहता हूँ. So where you can see है ना, like you give the time and you have people. The problem या target या goal define कर चुका है, और फिर हर टीम मेंबर्स उन्हीं की तरफ से वो आइडियाज को कंट्रीब्यूट करने के लिए हम देखते हैं. और यू कैन ऑल्सो सी द कलर्स है ना, आपको कलर सब दिखाई दे रहा है ना, वो पिंक कलर है, येलो कलर है, ब्लू कलर है, जो कोई कलर्स है, और फिर हर कोई लिख के वो स्टिकर, आई मीन वो बोर्ड पे स्टिक कर देगा. और एंड यू कैन आल्सो सी द अदर पीपल हु आर ऑब्जर्विंग, एंड अगर इन्हीं को भी कुछ आइडियाज मिल जाए, so they will also build on the ideas. I think these are again some very important points. So you can see here that depending on the number of people you have, depending on the ideas you have, depending on the problems and the goals, you will indicate and go ahead with it. So I think this is something related with the brainstorming. Let me quickly give you some more details. There are different tools which are there, I think, but like I said, you can do this activity in person and virtual. But ideally I would encourage that this is an in-person activity, ताकि ये कुछ engagement, और the engagement will be much more effective and impact. But like I said, today virtual also is there. There are different tools and templates. I will share it to you in the end of the discussion. Abhi we'll move on to the second, the crazy eights technique. So this is again a very very interesting technique. ये जो design thinking पे ज़्यादा कुछ use कर रहे हैं. So the important thing here is you can see here. So you can see here a very very important point. There are two things you will actually see. मतलब टाइम, ये जो टाइम लिमिट है ये तो आई मीन इट्स अ रेपिटेटिव पॉइंट, but here you see here it's a time bound activity, so just 8 minutes. So you can see here the crazy 8, I mean crazy, the name itself sounds very interesting, right? So it means that within that 8 minutes you have to complete it, and you will also give 8 ideas. So you can see here that it's a time bound activity where you will give those boxes, और हर एक के पास 1 minute ब्लॉक जैसे आप दे देते हैं, एंड इसको भी आप वर्चुअल और इन पर्सन कर सकते हो. माई रिकमेंडेशन ऑलवेज इज, अगर wherever possible in person हो जाए, that's the most effective and impactful. If unfortunately आपके teams ज्यादा कुछ लोग remote पे पढ़ते हैं, then you will have to go on a remote basis. The only thing problem I see with the virtual and the remote thing is a lot of distraction, device, people, and you're not. So which is my only concern, which is why जब भी option हो जाए तो हर कोई सब एक ही जगह पे पड़े हो जाए, और फिर within that 8 minutes खत्म कर दे. And here also you see here the time buzzer, 8 minutes clock starts ticking, and then within that 8 minutes जो कोई वो बॉक्स पे 1 minute blocks पे खत्म कर देगा, और फिर they will explain. And here again you will see the other observation, everyone will have the time, individual time to talk and explain. So this is again, you see a lot of similarities between the brainstorming as well as crazy eights. The particular point here is one at a time. So हर कोई those 8 ideas और blocks के बारे में वो बात करेगा और फिर एक्सप्लेन करेगा. एंड फाइनली ये सब खत्म करने के बाद वो वोटिंग जैसे कर देते हैं, और फिर we will try to see how we will want to focus on the ideas and focus on the prototyping as well. So here also I will give a small template. So this is again some example. You can see here also you will focus on the problem or the goal, और जो कोई इन्वॉल्व है वो टीम और एक्टिविटी के लिए, और लेफ्ट साइड पे आपको जो टेम्पलेट देख रहे हैं आप, वो जो है वो ऑनलाइन वर्चुअल टेम्पलेट टीम के लिए, और राइट साइड जो दिख रहा है आपको वो पूरे से पूरे इन पर्सन वो ब्लॉक्स या पेपर्स, वो स्मॉल पेपर्स जिसे दे देते हैं, और फिर और नोटबुक्स डिपेंडिंग ऑन द क्वांटम you want to write. And you can see, I think I'm a very firm believer that in person, because you get to write, and the minute you write things on the paper, it creates magic. But then we also have to be receptive, क्योंकि ये कोविड के बाद ये जो वर्चुअल और रिमोट लाइफ सब चल रहा है, so we have to ensure both are possible. So both options are available, so I would always recommend and ensure that you try both of the options. फर्स्ट ऑप्शन, इफ वो पूरे से पूरी टीम एक ही कॉन्फ्रेंस हॉल पे बैठे हैं, दैट बी द आइडियल सिचुएशन. अगर नहीं हो सकता है, please go ahead with the virtual mode. I will share you the link on the subsequent slide. So I think this is a template. This is just one example of a template. There are a lot of templates available. जो कोई आपको मर्जी ले लो and get started with it. So I think this is on the crazy eights. Next, let me quickly move on to the next concept of SCAMPER. So this is a little very different. So you can see here, SCAMPER means a specific thing. SCAMPER. So which is substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put to another use, eliminate, reverse, rearrange. In maybe I will explain each of these in specific pointers. Substitute मतलब अगर आप ऐसे ही मैं सोचूं तो if you want to use a particular thing, ये किसी के लिए आप यूज कर सकते हो. अगर आप पेस्ट यूज कर रहे हैं, I mean, टूथब्रश और टूथपेस्ट, ये टूथपेस्ट के बदले में आप क्या कर सकते हो? शायद यू कैन यूज द नीम स्टिक, or possibly you can use the toothpaste powder, or sorry, the powder. So I think these are the options. So the same example you can probably look at your own example. अगर आपके पास कुछ बिजनेस हो, so इस समय पे आप क्या सब्स्टिट्यूशन करना चाहोगे? So what will you want to replace with? So that's the most important thing. Combine is with regard to how will you combine two things. अगर आपका प्रोसेस पे थोड़ा कुछ टाइम लग रहा है, दोनों प्रोसेस को कैसे आप जुड़ाएंगे? So I think how will you combine? So I think that's the second point. Adapt. So today we are in the virtual world. So many times we are already adapting. So in your business, how will you want to adapt? So sometimes अगर customers पूछ रहे हो, आप जो आपकी तरफ से कुछ additional support दे सकते हैं, कैसे कर सकते हैं? So for instance, आपके अभी कस्टमर्स इंडियन कस्टमर्स हैं, और फिर अभी इंटरनेशनल कस्टमर्स आने वाले हैं. So then you will need a separate payment gateway. So which means you're adapting to a newer technology. So it's a question of how will your business adapt. So I think that's the most important point. Modify. So modify is something, how will you want to change? So here change in the concept of अगर ऐसे आप सोचोगे 4 दिन अभी आपका डिलीवरी प्रोसेस है, जो कुछ एक्टिविटी 4 दिन लगता है, अगर जो कोई प्रोसेस बदले ताकि ये मॉडिफाई हो जाए, और फिर कस्टमर्स के लिए भी थोड़ा कुछ बेनिफिट हो जाए. सो आई थिंक मॉडिफिकेशन कैन बी इन द प्रोसेस, और कैन बी इन द टूल, और कैन बी इन द सॉल्यूशन व्हिच यू प्रोवाइड, ताकि वो आपके कस्टमर्स को बेनिफिट हो जाए. आई थिंक दिस आई एम गिविंग इट फ्रॉम द पॉइंट ऑफ डिलीवरिंग अ सर्विस. अगर ये आपकी गोल की तरफ में आप सोचना चाहोगे, दैट आल्सो इज समथिंग यू मे वांट टू लुक इनटू इट. सो फॉर इंस्टेंस, अगर आपके बिजनेस मॉडल ऐसे आप सोचोगे, यू आर फोकसिंग ऑन B2B, अभी B2B से आगे बढ़ा के आप B2C करना चाहोगे, what will you modify in your business? So I think this is a point. So you can see that it is a very different aspect which you will focus on. Put to another use is again a very different repurposing strategy. So let's say I am having a B2C product which I built, but can I use it for a different model? So let's say you built a product, so can I white label it so that other companies can benefit? So put to another use. So you already have built a base, but can you look at generating business from some other means? Matlab, can you create more revenue possibilities? So revenue possibility is one thing. There could be different use cases. I think the only challenge here is आपके आपके business models और आपके individual business के तरफ आप थोड़ा कुछ इंट्रोस्पेक्ट करना है और फिर उसी के तरफ आप इसको अडॉप्ट करना है. Eliminate is a very very important thing. Many times there's a lot of waste which is generated. It could be in terms of time, people, resource, and anything. So how will you eliminate? So it's a question of removing something. So uh, eh, uh, so can maybe अभी आज के दिन में और आज के तरफ lot of people are talking about removing a lot of maybe plastics. So can you look at removing? So which is, so here I'm taking the example. So I'm taking packaging as an example. So इसमें मैं क्या कर रहा हूँ? I'm trying to eliminate that in such a way that customers or people are benefiting. So this is one example, one approach. अगर आपकी तरफ में आपको दूसरा कुछ problem हो जाए, so then you can look at eliminating or removing a process so that you can improve that methodology. So I think eliminate can be looked at it from a different dimension. So reverse and rearrange is a very different dimension. You may not generally use it, but you will have to. The more you look into the customer, the more you look into the business model, you will try to see. So sometimes uh, uh, when you look into the process, you may see. How you'll want to introduce this. So reversing is a very very different thing. You will not probably do this, but only when your business requires it, you will do. So the reverse can mean very different tasks. मैं इसे एक idea लेना चाहता हूँ. So let's say there is a business which there is a person who goes to deliver a product, and then do you want to look at something where the person goes there, from there will the person have to bring something back from there? So then I can look at it in a so now I've not had anything. I'm just doing an element of having a person go from point A to point B and then complete the transaction, which is over. But now if I want to enhance that mechanism so that the logistics cost is less, so मैं ऐसी process introduce करूँ जिसमें ये person point A से point B तक चलेगा, मगर point B से point A तक वापस आएगा और उस समय थोड़ा कुछ आइटम्स मुझे परचेज करके आएगा. सो इट्स अ वेरी वेरी सिंपल थिंग. सो व्हाट आई हैव डन हियर, एक स्पेसिफिक प्रोसेस इंक्लूड किया और रिवर्स या रीअरेंज किया. शायद इसमें से मुझे और वो कस्टमर्स को बेनिफिट हो जाए और फिर ये कॉस्ट भी कम हो जाए. सो आई थिंक it's something where I'm adding or rearranging whereby it is benefiting the people in the ecosystem. क्योंकि if let's say for instance he is bringing something back, maybe a material or a product or a particular thing which I can again use it for selling, then he is actually enhancing the value chain. I will benefit because I can provide at a lesser cost to my customers, and that person also I can give him more because he's doing more value addition in that equation. So here this is a process where, so and another important thing is I can use it for different purpose. So it's a very different and dynamic process where which will increase your dimension of thinking. Because if you अगर आप अगले वो crazy 8 और brainstorming के बारे में देखें, so it's a very restrictive purpose, but here the specific terminologies of substitute, combine, adapt, or modify, put to another use, or eliminate or reverse, it gives you the idea to think. So because अगर मैं ऐसे बोल दूं, okay, I'm using this product, give me some ideas on substituting. So automatically it is going to give more inputs for आपके team members को think and apply accordingly. So I think, like he said, so these are some tools which can come in handy. Again, I'm not. It's very important to understand. It's not necessary that each of them have to be applied. आपके business के तरफ देख के use it accordingly. Maybe it is relevant for your increasing your sales, increasing maybe the customer satisfaction, or possibly removing some problems that you have, or most importantly, it can help as a very good creative process to stimulate the thought process of the team members. So I think that's a very very important thing. Let's quickly move on. Yeah, I think this is a template again. So like I said, ये जो टेम्पलेट्स आप यूज कर सकते हो एंड आई मीन मैं जो दिखा रहा हूँ so it's not the only ones, there are like very many tools. I'm just trying to give you a few templates so that which you can try, play around and use for your advantage. I have still the last one. So mind mapping is again a very very interesting one. I will quickly share. I know time is running out. I'll quickly focus on the mind mapping and take some questions. So I've taken the example of design thinking क्योंकि हम वो डिजाइन थिंकिंग के बारे में हम बात कर रहे हैं इसलिए I'm taking this as an example. You can see here. So what I've typically done, I will probably give you the understanding of what a mind map is. So in fact, I think all of you are already aware. ये जो mind map ये कुछ वो फिगर या रोज या नोड्स जैसे दिखाता है. So the important point जो आप देखना पड़ेगा. So I put in the specific topic or problem or goal in the center. So here ये जो मैं example इस अभी मैंने लिया है वो डिजाइन थिंकिंग, तो इसको सेंटर पे लिया है और ये डिजाइन थिंकिंग से क्या क्या चीज ओरिजिनेट हो सकता है. सो आई थिंक व्हाट आर द एलिमेंट्स आर व्हाट आर द पॉइंट्स व्हिच कैन ओरिजिनेट फ्रॉम डिजाइन थिंकिंग. सो अगर ये डिजाइनिंग थिंकिंग एक स्पेसिफिक पॉइंट हो जाए तो what are the things which I can think of. So you can see here I can possibly look at defining what design thinking is, and so that can be one element. और उसी के ऊपर I can create some more sub points below that. So अभी I think you are able to get some idea where I have given the definition. Within definition, I can create sub nodes within that. And if I focus on empathize, so empathy is a very very powerful word. Matlab, I'm sure all of you are aware of empathy. Matlab, you have to get into the shoes of the other person. Matlab, if I am a person who is probably looking to empathize as a delivery person, then I will think that I am a delivery person. So, matlab, what are the problems I'll have? So, I will possibly have a two-wheeler, and then I probably will wear a T-shirt or the bag which is given by the company or the brands, and I will have to have a mobile device or probably the device. I'll have to wear the helmet. I'll have to keep checking the application which has been given to me, and then I will have to follow the signals or routes which has been given, and I have to ensure that मेरी तरफ से जो कुछ orders दिया है, I have to execute within a particular timeline. And safety also very important. So here what I've done, मैं ऐसी empathy मैंने क्या किया, मैं अभी एक ड्राइवर फॉर ई-कॉमर्स, ये शायद स्विगी हो सकता है या जोमेटो हो जाए. आई एम ट्राइंग टू लुक एट इट फ्रॉम द पर्सोना ऑफ अ ड्राइवर, सो मतलब a delivery agent. So I think that's what I was trying to do. So that's the empathy part. Next is the testing. So which means अगर जब भी वो design thinking हो जाए, so it's always important to test. So I think because the customers will have to relate with it, इसलिए जो कुछ आप create करते हैं इसको test करना है customers के साथ. That's a very important point. And prototype is also something which you'll have to build. So and also the ideation. So you can see that there are different steps. I've not gone in the order. So actually it'll be, I will define first, I will empathize, and I will look at ideation. I'll look at prototype and then testing. So testing will be the last step. So you can see the numbers also. Empathize, first one, followed by definition, second one, और तीसरा जो है वो ideation हो जाएगा, और फिर prototype है, और फिर आखिर पे testing. So I think that's the order. So you can see the numbers जो कुछ भी लिखा है. So you can see here जो mind mapping जो है. So I can so ऐसे आप देख लोगे, I can write this in the form of a script ना, एक पैराग्राफ की तरफ में भी लिख सकता हूँ, मगर ये जो visual representation है, it's very very powerful because just imagine now I am actually trying to teach you all the concept of design thinking. So design thinking इसमें 5 प्रोसेस है. पहले जो प्रोसेस है एम्पैथी है, और दूसरा जो इन डिफाइन में 2-4 पॉइंट्स है, और तीसरा जो है वो आइडिएट है, इसमें 4 पॉइंट्स है, और फिर उसके बाद आप प्रोटोटाइप बनाएंगे, इसमें 2-4 स्टेप्स है, और आखिर पे जो पॉइंट है वो टेस्टिंग है, ताकि वो कस्टमर्स के पूरी अंडरस्टैंडिंग मिल जाए, और आपके भी जो कुछ आप प्लान कर रहे हैं उसको भी आप और कस्टमर्स के बीच में जो कुछ पॉइंट्स है वो अच्छी तरह से आपको भी आइडिया मिल जाए, और फिर ये पूरा साइकिल खत्म हो जाएगा. सो यू कैन सी हियर इट्स मोर लाइक image is worth thousand words. Matlab, so I think that's what we normally say. So it's a visual representation, taki people will be able to relate in a much more imaginative way. So the same thing. So I've just given the same example. So it's just the theoretical part, जो कुछ complicated और complex process जो है इसको बहुत ही आसान से simplify कर सकते हैं. So specific points जो आप देखना चाहोगे, you have to create relationships. जो मैंने अभी किया है वो मैंने क्या कैसे किया, वो पहले डिजाइन थिंकिंग उसको सेंटर पे डाला है और फिर इन इन सभी के साइड पे पॉइंटर्स लिखा है. मतलब फर्स्ट पॉइंट, सेकंड पॉइंट, थर्ड पॉइंट, फोर्थ पॉइंट, फिफ्थ पॉइंट, और इन सभी के पॉइंट्स के नीचे मैंने जो लिखा है वो नोड्स है और ब्रांचेस बनाए हैं. And all of these are connected so that it gives a very very interesting point. All these are connected. फिर भी इन दोनों इन सभी में एक वो numbers भी important point है. So you have a very very good idea on the central idea I'm talking, and the different branches, the different nodes, and the numbering of that. मतलब the first step, second step, third step, fourth step, fifth step. I hope you're able to get a very very simple idea. अगर you can probably, अगर आपके business में भी आप इस तरफ करना चाहोगे, you can very well do it. I think I will have some example behind me in the second step, or maybe I'm not having it. ऐसे आप देख लोगे आपके business में भी अगर आप business fund raise करना चाहोगे, what will be the step? So कैसे आप fund raise करना चाहोगे? So then probably you will put fundraising in the center point, and इसके ऊपर कैसे करेंगे. So first step crowdsourcing, वो तो पहले स्टेप हो जाएगा. सेकंड स्टेप एंजल्स, और थर्ड स्टेप मे बी एडिशनल पॉइंट्स. और अगर आप स्टार्टअप जैसा स्टार्टअप बनाना चाहोगे, उसी के लिए भी आपको कुछ एडिशनल पॉइंट्स लिख लेंगे. स्टार्टअप सेंटर पे लिखेंगे और फिर एडिशनल कौन सी इंडस्ट्री पे करेंगे, कौन सी सेक्टर पे करेंगे, कौन सी ज्योग्राफी पे करेंगे, और ये रेवेन्यू कितना बनाना चाहोगे, एंड फंड रेज कैसे करेंगे, और आपको सपोर्ट करने के लिए कौन सा टीम रहेगा. सो आई जस्ट ट्राई टू गिव यू सम स्पेसिफिक आइडियाज ऑन हाउ ये जो कुछ माइंड मैपिंग आप ही कर सकते हो. एंड मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट थिंग इज यू कैन एक्चुअली डू इट फॉर एनी और एवरी प्रॉब्लम स्टेटमेंट और गोल. अगर यू कैन, एंड द सेम एग्जांपल, अगर आप आपके बिजनेस को 10 लाख से 1 करोड़ और 1 करोड़ बनाना चाहोगे, हाउ डू यू डू इट, वो भी उसको भी करने के लिए आप इसी तरह आइडिया मिला के मिशन 10,000 और मिशन 1 करोड़ जैसा सेंटर पे लेके इसको कैसे वो 1 करोड़ बनाएंगे. सो उसके आइडिया और तरीके भी आप बना के आप माइंड मैपिंग जैसे आप करके कम्युनिकेट कर सकते हो, ताकि आपको भी आइडियाज मिल जाए कैसे वो रीच वो अचीव कर सकते हैं, और आपके टीम को भी वो विजुअली अपीलिंग हो जाएगा और वो भी कर सकते हैं. सो आई थिंक इट्स अ वेरी वेरी पावरफुल एक्सरसाइज ऑन हाउ यू डू इट. द नेक्स्ट स्लाइड, या दिस इज ऑन the Canva, the link which is there. You can again test and check for yourselves. I'll probably pause and stop here. और संजना जी अगर कुछ questions है, मैं अभी इस समय questions लेना चाहूँगा.
Okay, so thank you, sir, for your insightful presentation. And we have received some questions from our startup. So let's address a few of them. So,
Wonderful.
sir, the first question is, how can a startup create an environment that encourages them, team members to think creative and share unique ideas?
Okay, I think बहुत ही अच्छा क्वेश्चन है जो कुछ किसी से क्वेश्चन किया है. सो द मोस्ट इम्पॉर्टेंट थिंग इज लिसनिंग टू पीपल. सो आई थिंक वॉट एवर प्रॉब्लम्स यू हैव, अगर आपके पास कुछ प्रॉब्लम्स है, पहले वो प्रॉब्लम्स को कम्युनिकेट कर देना. I think many times it's very important, because many times I have noticed that business owners or people or department heads, they have problems but they keep it within themselves. They think, oh, maybe my team member cannot do it, or maybe मेरे team, oh, उसको क्यों दिक्कत हो, शायद I'll break my head and do it. So the first step is opening up. मतलब okay, share or tell people, you know, मैं मुझे कुछ ideas चाहिए. So which means you have to open up. Only अगर मैं idea या problem या कुछ goal ही नहीं दे रहा हूँ, how will you even think? So the first step is to open up and ask for help. Again, many times when I say ask for help, people think asking is very bad na. So I think that's a very very important perception. So don't worry about it. So अगर आपको कुछ दिक्कत हो और आपको additional support चाहिए, ask. I think this is something I will request of uh, the entrepreneur community or startups and also people who are in senior positions. I think this is the first step. So the first step is more about letting go of any kind of ego which you have. Just open up and ask. That's the first step. And the second step is the minute you have asked, keep it open. मतलब अगर कोई कुछ inputs आपको मिल जाए, so keep it very open. So I think it doesn't need to possibly solve your problem, but the fact that you're not the only person breaking your head, there are other people trying to support you, accept that and acknowledge it. And I think that's the second step. And beyond that, to enhance the creativity process, like I said, these are some very very small tools or tips which you have done. You can probably the other point on enhancing the creativity, you can look to do some very casual fun based one. So you don't have to wait for a problem to come. You can actually maybe ask simple examples from an office environment you may want to do is, okay, abhi kuch त्योहार aa raha hai, how can we celebrate? Good. I think that's a good problem statement. So people are going to give you ideas, right? So I think the creativity process need not happen for business, it can happen for anything. Can you give some ideas on what we can do for gifting purpose, what we can do for enhancing our productivity? So I think it can be for anything. So let it not be restricted only for business. I think it can be as open as it is, so that you're involving the people in the ecosystem. I hope that addresses the question.
Yeah, thank you, sir, for answering this question. We have one more question, sir.
Yeah, yeah, please go ahead.
Uh, yes, sir. Sir, are there any common mistakes startup make during brainstorming sessions, and how can they be avoided?
Okay, so as I had specifically indicated earlier, वो जो brainstorming session, वो specific activity जो हमें achieve होना चाहिए, aim for quantity. So मतलब आपको ज़्यादा से ज़्यादा ideas चाहिए. So अगर मुझे 10 मिल चुका है, वो 10 काफ़ी नहीं है, और भी ज़्यादा दे दो. 20 20 काफी नहीं है, और ज्यादा दे. So which means encourage people to share ज्यादा से ज्यादा ideas. So I think that's the most important thing. And the mistake जो हो सकता है, I think that's where let's say many times it's not that I say it is a very bad idea, but I would have communicated from my look, right? Because non-verbal communication. अगर कोई idea मेरे पास दे रहा है, oh ये जो है, this is an idea, and then if I am not acknowledging it, or I'm turning away, or I'm actually my eyesight, or like like even my expression, my body language, it is negative, it means that that idea has not been acknowledged. So I think it's a very, so many times जो लोग सोचते हैं, ओ नहीं यार मैंने आइडिया को शूट नहीं किया है, नहीं, it's not that you have done, it's not that you have said, oh that idea was pathetic, that idea was poor. No, you didn't say that, you didn't say it in words, but the look, आपने जो the way you expressed on the non-verbal communication, वो काफी था. So I think that is the kind of mistake which can happen. It's unfortunate because many times that was not my idea and intention, but sometimes because of that people will go into their shell, people will not open up, or people will think, oh अरे यार मैंने तो कुछ आइडियाज देना देना चाहता था, मगर ये तो लेने के लिए तैयार नहीं है, so he's not ready to accept my ideas. So then people will go into a shell. I think this is something which I've generally seen as a challenge which can happen in during brainstorming session. So which is where it's very very important that the facilitator possibly can be a neutral person, or because many times what happens when the functional person does it, or the business head, or probably the person, so then what happens, they are so attached with that business, so they would have tried it, so only because they have tried it and it does not work, oh yeah, okay, छोड़ दो. So it becomes a challenge. So I think that is where the issue happens. Is that, I mean, I hope that addresses the point.
So, thank you so much, sir, for answering all these questions so thoughtfully and for sharing practical insights that our audience can start applying right away. And to everyone who joined us today, thank you for your active participation. हम उम्मीद करते हैं कि आज के सेशन ने आपको क्रिएटिव ब्रेनस्टॉर्मिंग टेक्निक्स का एक सॉलिड फाउंडेशन दिया और कुछ प्रैक्टिकल स्टेप्स भी दिए हैं जो आपके स्टार्टअप जर्नी में इनोवेशन को बूस्ट करने में मदद करेंगे. And on behalf of Satna Incubation Center and Satna Smart City Development Limited, we thank you all for being here, and we look forward to seeing how you apply these insights to create impactful user centered solution. So thank you and have a great day ahead, and
Wonderful.
thank you, sir.
Thank you so much and all the best. Thanks again to the Satna Incubation Center for having me as a speaker. All the best. I think each of you are definitely working on a lot of wonderful ideas. Good luck and best wishes, and may you succeed in anything you do. Thanks so much.
Yeah, thank you so much, sir.